This podcast is sponsored by Demo Day Records. Welcome to a Fish Out of Water podcast. This is your host, Richard Lipman. Today, we are interviewing Alec Soth. This is part two of this podcast. Got it. Okay. I see that there is I see the parameters of our cage here.
Yeah.
We've got the lady.
Parameters of our cage. What is the... Sorry, I don't know.
In 2020, you received a letter from Minnesota Correctional Facility.
Yeah. But I don't know the picture that you're referring to.
It's a lady. She's saluting. She's in uniform.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so that... I mean, that... This is... I mean... This is a very complicated answer because that... I mean, that is a book of letters between myself and a incarcerated person who's no longer incarcerated. But he and I were having a dialogue about many, many things. But one of the things that we talked about was photography generally. And so I was sharing pictures with him. We were having conversations about those pictures. So these are like found photographs. That's not, nothing I took. I have no idea who took that picture. That's, but at that particular time, I was doing a project called A Pound of Pictures. And A Pound of Pictures was dealing with found, like the meaning of photography in the world, vernacular pictures, found photography. And that was on my mind.
If there's, are there any sort of projects that you can relate to? You talked about Robert Frank, you referenced others. I also saw this documentary about you filmed by the Belgian filmmakers, I think.
Yeah.
Followed you around. How was that? Do you need to be alone, or is it better for others to accompany you on projects?
Yeah, I mean, there was a funny contradiction about that project because it was about people who wanted to be alone, and then I invited people with me. And I was very aware of that contradiction. Because to me, that's a built-in contradiction of my work. I think of myself as an introspective loner, and yet I do want people to accompany me in a funny way, or I want to make social connection when I'm working. So I have come to really like having someone with me, strangely. Yeah. It gets very isolating if I'm alone. Yeah.
Were there any dangerous moments when you were alone that you recall?
Yeah, I mean, actually, it's funny because in that documentary film, we revisit a person that I had visited alone. That was a very scary situation. And it was okay with the filmmakers, but it was quite scary. And actually, we had a different encounter that was scary with all of us. And that particular work, because it was dealing with people kind of off the grid or far away from society, got a little complicated. Yeah.
How did you cope with that? Did you bottle up your emotions, or you try to find an escape route, or did you just stick with the moment?
Yeah. Generally, when I'm in a threatening situation, I'm like the animal that rolls on its back and shows its belly. I'm submissive, and that's generally how I get out of situations, because I've also had run-ins with police and authorities, and that is the way I go, so a non-aggressive backing of situations, but that doesn't always work. So yeah, mostly now I just try to avoid those situations.
But those situations, did you still manage to document?
Yeah, in almost every case, I think I did. I think there have been a couple that have not come to pass because it got upsetting. Yeah.
Is there a particular story you'd like to recount that we don't know about? You said run-ins with the police. How would that happen, for example?
Yeah, I mean, even during sleeping by the Mississippi, I was photographing outside of a prison,
Yeah.
and like apparently within some circumference of the prison, you're not allowed to document it. Um, and so the police were called, and it was funny. I always the funny part of the story is that they wanted to confiscate the film that I'd taken,
Yeah.
and and in that particular case, I think I'd taken one sheet of film, and I knew it wasn't any good, so it was fine. It wasn't even a good picture, um, but but I took out of the film holder and I handed them the sheet of film, and then they said, "Where can we get this developed?" And I was like, "I assure you that you can get it developed, but there will be nothing on the film because it's now in the sunlight." And it was funny because they had no concept of anything. But yeah, I've had that. I had police watch me delete every picture on a digital camera before,
Okay.
and then I had an assistant that knew how to recover those files. So
Right. That's good. Do you have any advice for photographers? Are there too many images today? Can we distinguish what's good, what's not, what's real, what's not, what's AI, what isn't?
there have always
Does it really matter?
since the beginning of photography, people have complained about too many pictures. So I mean, obviously, it's like exponentially higher, but uh, I think you sound like a fool if you say that because people have always said it. Um, my analogy is to language. It's like you and I are using language right now, but that in competition with someone writing a novel? I don't think so. Now there is a question: do people read novels anymore? That's a question. And does anyone care about these books behind me where someone has not just taken a picture, but they've authored a group of pictures together in a meaningful way? And I would say, yes, there's an audience for this. It's a small niche audience, but there's an audience.
Are you thinking about your audience when you're doing a project, or are you thinking about the publisher or the grantee,
Oh,
or is it
I
something
mean,
internal?
with personal work, I'm not. I think about the audience, yes, but I don't think about the publisher or grantee. But I think about the audience. I think about challenging the audience, but also like giving them something interesting or pleasurable or complicated. All of that. I know many artists don't like to think about the audience, but I do. I think it's part of the pleasure of making. Yeah.
Right, right. So are you thinking about a particular group, a particular age?
That's hard. I mean, I know there's a part of me that always imagines my younger self. Like, what would my younger self think of this?
Right.
I try to imagine that. I try, of course, one wants to imagine like a sophisticated audience, but at the same time, I don't want to make something that's so challenging that it doesn't let people in. So, yeah, I try to think about all that stuff. I mean, that's what I think is kind of interesting about work that does like independent filmmaking, or that work that does require some sort of financial investment, is because you're forced to think about the audience. um, whereas oftentimes in the fine art world, which I'm very much a part of, you're just thinking about a very specific few people, and I think that can sometimes be unhealthy.
Do you think it's possible to call you back in 10 minutes to just to talk again for another 10 minutes?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I need to wrap up by the end of the hour, but if we can do that, yeah.
That'd be great.
Great. Okay.
What's the best way? Reuse the link, or do I send you an email?
Sure, but yeah, I can. It's just a question of what time do you want me on here?
In approximately 10 minutes. Or
Okay. Yeah. So, I
six
mean, the
some.
other thing is I can just. Oh, right, because we have a new because we're
Yes,
running out of
Zoom.
time.
Yes, a Zoom every 40
Oh
minutes.
yeah. I'm okay, but you want some time to like.
Yeah, another 10 minutes. I've got a few
Okay,
more
so at
questions.
for me
Influences,
at what
successes,
about at
failures.
10 50, which is like
10:50.
yeah. Okay, sounds good.
Perfect. Do I
See you
send
then.
you? I'll send you a link, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Send me a new link. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye bye.
Bye. Alec, what makes a good story?
Uh, well, I don't think of myself as a necessarily a storyteller. So I think I mean I think what photography does often is it suggests stories and it usually doesn't tell stories. So that's a very different thing. So like a good story, like a compelling article that you read, it has narrative momentum. That's not what I do, so I don't think I'm very qualified.
What makes a good character? What's a character for your photography? Who?
Mm, I think it's in the case of photography, you're describing an exterior, but I think there's when I talked about suggesting a story, it suggests an interior world, it suggests a story, it suggests interesting life lived, all of that.
Lights. Do you wait for certain moments throughout the day or the evening to get that
I mean,
right atmosphere?
photography is about light, so yeah. I could photograph the most interesting person in the world, but if the lights are off, we won't know it. So it's all about the response of light to to an object. Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about your successes and failures?
I think my failure is easier. I think my failure is often that I that my work uses some sort of representation of the outside world to investigate an interior phenomenon, but I don't actually investigate my own interior phenomenon directly, and uh, so something is lost in an analogy. So, for example, I don't photograph my children, um, and I think that's been a bit of a failure. Like, what a missed opportunity. Um, in terms of successes, I think of I think the best thing I can do is just drop seeds all over the place, and I think the fact uh, my that my work exists in book form to a large extent, and that those seeds have been dropped all over the place, and that they might sprout up. Yeah.
What's the future for young people who want to become photographers? What are the challenges?
Oh, I mean, I think social media is an enormous challenge because so much of art making is about setting down like it's at a certain point when you're in the process you need to set aside um the what people think kind of phenomenon, and I think social media has made that very hard. Yeah.
Does AI pose challenges to capturing real life and capturing the moment? Like Cartier
Sure.
Bresson would.
Yeah, AI, yeah, sure. AI is hugely challenging for everybody in every field. And this is one area where I feel old. Like I don't like the way people would talk about, like, I remember when I got into Magnum and everyone was freaking out about photoshopping images and all that stuff, and it seemed kind of silly to me. Um, but yeah, AI sort of like triggers all of that for me, but I'm not gonna. I don't know the answer. I don't know how to solve it. I don't
I,
know.
I understand you were president of Magnum. What was that?
No, I was
Vice? No?
never president. Don't want to be.
I say.
No, thank you. No, no. I'm on the board, and it's overwhelming. Yeah.
Does it allow you to be part of an agency, to be part of the family? Does it allow you to see things you wouldn't normally see on your own? I mean, commissions, go places, meet
Oh,
people.
being in Magnum, does it allow that?
Yes.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, it completely globalized me in a way that I hadn't been before I was in it, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I had a chat with Ian Berry, who said that, for example, he sometimes if he was in New York, he would stay at some of the photographers' houses. Is that still the case today?
I usually stay with Susan Meiselas when I'm in New York. Yeah. Yes. So and also these people are in your life all the time. Ian has never invited me to stay with him, though. Let's just put it that way.
Maybe next time. Is there? Did you feel there's a little bit of competition there? Is that healthy?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, there can be enormous competition. Yeah, for
to get
sure.
to get the commission or to get that particular
Just
job?
all of it. Just because, yeah, it's a cooperative, but it's made up of individual artists. So, there's gonna be competition. I myself don't find competition healthy in my art practice. I really don't. I find it destructive, but other people thrive on it.
How would they thrive on it?
I mean, I think lots of people thrive on competition. They want to it pushes them to work harder. Like someone got such and such acknowledgement or whatever. I'm going to work harder to get it. I just don't. In my own case, I found when I think like that, it works against me, and I get self-conscious, and it's just unhelpful. But but in other areas, I can be competitive. Ping pong.
does does politics affect people's behavior when you're photographing them? Every generation, does it change the kind of characters you come across in your work?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah.
Or do you somehow meet the same type of people 50 years ago? Like in psychology, I think Jung created the artifacts, the archetypes.
Yeah.
That person's a little bit like that person that I met 50 years ago.
Sure.
Is
Yeah.
there
No,
that as well?
I think both are true. There's been such a huge change in the political landscape here. Um, and yeah, you can feel that. I mean, I remember really feeling post 9/11, just that itself, how it affected my job, and people's responses. And so, yeah, all those things have consequences.
How would 9/11 affect your job?
Oh, just the feeling of suspicion, the feeling of suspicion. And of course, there's a political, I mean, I have had my own political awakening, and then you sort of realize, oh, I I am this person and I move through the world this way, and thus I get access to these things because of that, and
Mhm.
that changes. Yeah, it changes things because when I was young and dumb, I just thought this is the way the world is, and then you realize, oh, there's all these other people. They have all these other experiences. Yeah.
Do you try to capture these other people and the other experiences that you were not able to capture in the past?
I mean, I don't. It's the same thing about me photographing England. I can't inhabit another person's experience. So I'm just more cognizant of who I am as the author,
Right.
I would say. Yeah.
What do you make of Bruce Gilden's approach to photography?
Uh, I mean, Bruce, I mean, one of the things about being an author is being authentically yourself, you know? So it's like, if I pretend to be if I pretend to be a hardcore photojournalist, it fails. And Bruce is, for better or worse, authentically himself. I would say that. I personally, I'm glad I'm not Bruce Gilden.
I've always
But
wondered, I mean, he manages to take pictures of people with flashes and things like that. Not many people do that anymore. But on the other hand, you're able to see a kind of
yeah,
raw reaction. Vivian Mayer as well.
sure.
What's your take on her kind of street photography?
Oh yeah, her her work's amazing, and yeah, and a lot of Bruce's work is really great too. Uh, a big difference is that I like Bruce has been in my life all the time, so I have a different relationship with him. It's a complicated relationship. Um, and so I mean, one of the beautiful things about like authors from another time is that you project onto them all sorts of things, and then you learn that they've done some horrible thing or whatever, and it changes your perception. But so, and there's something, of course, with Vivian Maier, very romantic about the unknown artist whose work is unearthed. But her work outside of that, it's just really good. Yeah.
Who are your influences? Who do you connect to?
I mean, it's pretty vast. And it gets hard to analyze because, of course, there's those influences in your youth, which are so overwhelming, but they don't influence in the same way as you go on. So it's a vast network. I mean, it's a lot of the usual names, but it's like, but I mean, probably like the number one for me is Masahisa Fukase, the Japanese photographer, and not not just for Solitude of Ravens, which is maybe my favorite book, but for his whole career, his whole output, tremendous.
Interesting. Do you have any thoughts, comments for the future?
For the future, uh, is that?
What about is now the future?
No, I mean,
Do you live in the moment?
I don't speculate much about the future, and and I also know, I mean, my work is not going to last very, like, it it doesn't matter. It doesn't, it's it's much more about the moment, I would say. It's much more about the moment. For me, it's much more about like, okay, what's the next thing that I can focus my attention on and be excited about that. 20 years down the road, who knows? Yeah. I'm not thinking about it.
If you were given a shuttle to go to Mars or to any planet in the world outside of the world, where would you go? What would you do there?
That's one of the craziest questions ever been asked. I mean, I'm pretty interested. I did a job recently and it was underwater, so it was like it was it was in the sea. And honestly, I think I'm more interested in that as a place to go. Um, and I was like the last person to watch My Octopus Teacher, if you know that movie. I just
I
watched
do.
it recently. And I was like, this is incredible.
Mm,
So, because I think most of space, like it would be very hard to get to anything meaty. It's
right,
just a lot of open space. So
right.
that's what I would go for.
And what do you prefer to shoot digitally or analog?
I like them both for their qualities. I the analog is getting harder because of my vision, also not just the expense, but it's like focusing is more challenging now. So I'm frustrated by that, but I still love it. It's also just obscene the price. So
And digital, what kind of cameras would you recommend or would you use?
I mean, I use the Fuji GFX system, which is the first camera system that digital camera system that I really have affection for.
Why is that? Is it the color size?
I just physically like it. I just like holding the camera. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Alec, thanks very much.
You got it. Appreciate it.
This podcast is sponsored by Demo Day Records. Thank you for listening to a Fish Out of Water podcast. This is your host, Richard Lipman. Should you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please get in touch.